this over a little bit. And we're live.
Whoop, whoop.
All right.
Thank you, phone. I am very much aware the podcast is going on right now.
Yeah, it looks like there's a weird lag in whatever chatbot mentions that we go live in chat.
Huh.
It seems like it's a new lag in that, because it was always around like the 1 minute mark.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if it's at the 2 minute mark.
Yeah.
Nope. I don't know.
I'm going to apologize right now. I'm probably going to be doing a lot of coughing.
Okay.
It's just disgusting post-nasal drip that I just cannot get rid of right now.
Right.
But
I would very much appreciate autocorrect to stop auto capitalizing Twitch.
why?
Because it screws up the URLs.
Oh. There's the announcement.
Yeah, I got to do that manually.
Oh.
All right, let's get started.
Yes, yes.
Starting the show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Coming up on episode 168, Rise of Skywalker is upon us, Game Award winners, updates galore, and much, much more on the 8-Bit Adventures podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the 8-Bit Adventures podcast, bringing you the latest and greatest geeky news of the week. I am your host, Sean Hayes, and with me is my co-host, as always, Courtney Bolin.
Hey, everybody.
Some big news this week. Mostly the big one is, of course, Rise of Skywalker officially releases tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Although it looks like critical reviews are in. They are not kind to the film. But we also have a lot of sort of 8-bit adventures news. So we're going to try and get through stuff pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So, one thing to note, I finally remembered what movie trailers I was forgetting last week. It was Wonder Woman 1984 and Black Widow. Which makes me feel extra bad since they're both female superhero movies, which we don't have a lot of. Especially the Black Widow one, which everybody was asking for the longest time.
I remembered seeing something about the Black Widow one, but I wasn't sure if that was a trailer or if it was just like more info about it had been released. Or,
full trailer.
Okay.
David Harbour's in the film.
Interesting.
As basically the Russian equivalent of Captain America. So everybody's joking that, like, it's
Comrade
just
Russia?
Hopper. Well, hang on, I don't know what the character's name is.
But
Red Guardian.
Okay. So Wonder Woman, what was that?
Wonder Woman 1984.
84. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, because I'm like, okay, so all right, so this is gonna be I'm trying to figure out my timeline here.
Well, they're not in the same universe.
No, not Black Widow and Wonder Woman. I know that much.
Black Widow is.
I'm figuring my DC timeline.
Oh. Yeah. I don't know. Does it matter? Not really.
No, I guess not.
I mean, it predates everything else that's happened in the DCU aside from Wonder Woman.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fair.
Also, they have to decide on what is and is not part of the DCU. So.
Yes. Yes, they do.
Since they can't seem to make up their mind on that. That said, both trailers looked great. I actually, I was kind of, I don't know if I'd see the Black Widow movie or whatever, but, I kind of want to see David Harbour as Red Guardian. But the joke is that it's Hopper.
Okay.
After spoilers, the end of Stranger Things season 3, the theory is that, he ends up in Russia somehow, instead of getting blown apart. And that, the joke is that, after he spends all this time in Russia or whatever, he just becomes a superhero.
I mean, that's what happens when you're that close to that much nuclear energy, right? You just become a superhero.
Well, I mean, there wasn't any nuclear power in what they were doing.
Okay.
It's all dimensional energy and nastiness. But yeah. So basically, it looks like it might take place sometime after Avengers 1 or 2, or possibly before. It sounds like it's after some point where she meets Steve Rogers.
Okay.
And looks like she's going back to tie up loose ends.
Okay. Okay.
So, yeah. And then Wonder Woman, that one looks pretty good. No sword. That was apparently a very conscious decision by Patty Jenkins.
Interesting.
That Wonder Woman has no need for a sword or a shield. That, she's got magic bracers that do the same job as a shield. And, she's got the lasso, and that's all she needs.
I mean, she had other tools in the comics, so
Well, it's all she's
it
getting.
wasn't just the bracers and the lasso of truth. So
As well as what's his face from Wonder Woman 1, apparently.
okay,
I can't remember his name, but it's the guy with 2 first names.
yeah, yeah, interesting, very interesting.
Yeah. He apparently he makes a return.
Okay.
So Josh is in the chat and he just says Chris Pine. He's just Chris Pine and everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm just trying to figure out, like, again, timeline.
I want to say it's like Steve
So
Evans
that's
or
like
something. But I'm that's just
40
Steve Rogers and Chris
years.
Evans.
That's just 40 years after. So
Steve Trevor.
yeah. But this is 40 years after. So why are they bringing him back?
There's some kind of time travel element, I think.
Okay.
Because he
So
hasn't aged.
that
He's
was
not
what I
40
was
years
wondering.
older. No.
So
He's
he's
not
not
40 years
60
older.
or 70.
He is not.
Okay.
He is same Chris Pine.
Interesting.
So, but yeah, I mean, back to the 80s.
Yeah.
So it's a malls. Apparently, malls are going to be a huge set piece. Because it makes sense, but it's like also sort of integral. It sounds like to the plot.
So you mean that they're able to rent out the malls that have closed and use them as sets?
No, because they don't go anywhere near malls that have closed because those are in places that are not desirable for filming, probably.
Oh.
Yeah. So yeah. Also, they don't want to have to like digitally remove overgrown vegetation or deer. So, in addition to that, so again, sorry I forgot them last week. Got them this week.
Yep.
But last week, so like the day after we did the podcast, we had the Game Awards.
Yes.
And they actually announced the winners of the Game Awards.
Yes.
So we're not going to go through all of the winners.
No.
Just a couple of them. But Death Stranding did pick up Best Director.
Okay.
From what I understand, Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice, won Best Game.
Wow. That one is actually really interesting to hear, considering all of the backlash it got upon launch. Like, people were returning it left and right, from what I heard. Like,
yeah,
people were just not happy with it.
I don't know.
No, I've heard it's like a great game, but it's at a difficulty level that is just, it's so difficult to actually get. But
it also won Best Action Adventure Game.
Yeah.
Which I feel like it was all the same stuff for Best Game of the Year. So, Smash Ultimate won Best Fighting Game.
Yeah.
Fire Emblem won Best Strategy Game.
I'm like pretty excited about that one.
And then Death Stranding won like a bunch of other awards, like Best Score, Best Vocal Performance, and stuff like that. Apparently, it was, is it Mads Mikkelsen?
Yes.
Yes, Mads Mikkelsen won Best Performance. He was not at the Game Awards either to accept his award.
Okay, but
so we were just laughing because we were watching we were both watching Critical Role, and
did he sneak out like Laura Bailey did?
No, he just wasn't there. Period.
Oh.
Which I think is it's Laura did more of a power move where Laura showed up, and then left before her category was announced, to then go play D&D. So
I
like
mean,
she went just enough to fulfill her obligation and then peaced out.
yeah,
So
yeah.
um, so yeah. Sadly, Kensai Rule didn't win. Oh, Luigi's Mansion 3 won Best Family Game.
Interesting.
Um. Oh, I see. Megan's trying to redeem something in the chat.
Oh
She's
goodness.
uh. Sounds like she's trying to redeem a Monty appearance.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Redeem that Monty appearance. Because he's the bestest pupper ever.
Yeah. It's just weird. So, yeah.
Yeah,
Aside from that, I
so
mean, Game Awards. We had a couple of interesting announcements at the Game Awards. Bravely Default 2, which is weird. I was very confused and thought it was just a port of the second Bravely Default game, but this
yeah, that's
is
what I thought
not
when you
that.
told me.
This is apparently they're doing a full sequel, even though they already had a sequel. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
very confusing.
Yeah, because it was Bravely Default second or something.
It was Bravely Second.
Yeah, there we go.
So it was Bravely Default, Bravely Second, and this is going to be Bravely Default 2. And somebody at Square, like somebody in the marketing team at Square or the branding team or whatever, just like needs some sort of re-education.
Yeah. According to the store, it's a new world, a new story, and all new heroes of light. It's
Yeah.
coming sometime in 2020. But I believe you can put it on your wish list in the eShop right now. Sorry, not
Yeah.
believe. You can. I was just in the eShop. You can.
Yeah. Yeah. Josh is like doing a Final Fantasy thing, sequel, but in a different universe.
Yeah.
It's just confusing because like they already had a sequel, so it's almost like,
It's like,
I mean, it's not quite the same as like 10-1 and 10-2 because from what I gather, that's like part 1 and part 2.
yeah, 10-1 goes into 10-2.
Yeah. Uh, so like that kind of makes more sense as opposed to it going like 10 and 11.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's ugh. So anyway, and then let's see what other announcements. Oh, so we got it's what's it called? Xbox. They announced the name of Project Scarlet.
Oh, okay. Um,
It's got some
yeah,
dumb.
that's for the new Xbox system.
Yeah. It's Series X.
Xbox
Xbox
Series
Series
X.
X.
Yeah, and it looks like a computer.
Yeah. I have heard confirmation that you can turn it on its side.
Yeah.
Since all the marketing photos show it sticking straight up, and everybody's like, I won't be able to fit this anywhere.
Yeah.
And then I think there was like a couple more tidbits about PlayStation 5. Josh is saying Hellblade 2.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Eventually it turned into kind of like we're just showing off, our third-party games coming out for brand new systems.
Yeah.
Sort of a thing. But yeah, I guess Reggie was there. From what I understand, in some capacity that wasn't related to Nintendo.
Interesting.
So yeah. But it was trying to find that information like in a live posting. It was very
Mhm.
difficult because they was just like, oh look, it's another commercial for this game or whatever, and it was like, no, I need to know like who won things.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah. Uh, but in other news, we have a whole bunch of game updates this week. These
Yeah.
kind of focus mostly around Nintendo titles or titles that appear on Nintendo platforms.
Mhm.
Um, but there's quite a few worth mentioning because many of them kind of just showed up out of the blue. So um,
Mhm.
let's start with Luigi's Mansion 3 is getting DLC, which includes a whole bunch more
Interesting.
multiplayer modes.
Oh wow.
And I think like a little bit of extra story. Um, but it's mostly multiplayer. Uh,
Hmm.
I think it's like something like $5. Um,
Okay.
so if you have been playing the multiplayer stuff, you might want to take a look at that. I
Mhm.
still have yet to dive into the game, so I don't
Okay.
really know. I can't really speak to whether that price point is appropriate or not, um,
Mhm.
and whether it needs additional multiplayer modes, or whether it's justified and um, sort of
Mhm.
the uh, consensus as to whether there was enough included already, and is this like really DLC or is that sort
Yeah.
of stuff. Um, I would say if it's multiplayer only, uh, then that's probably okay for it being DLC because I mean Luigi's Mansion wasn't really a multiplayer title to begin with, so
Yeah.
there you go.
There you
Um,
go.
Pokemon Go gets Adventure Buddy mode. So
Adventure buddy mode.
yeah, so you can designate this. This has been in the game where you can designate one Pokemon as your buddy, and then like when you walk around, they earn candy. Um, Now it's you can open them up in AR mode and feed them berries and play with them, and
Oh, cute.
sort of like Pokemon Refresh or Pokemon Ami, um,
Mhm.
as well as they will show up on the map
Oh, cute.
and like follow you around everywhere. It'll have like little
Okay.
checklists of things that you can do with your buddy, and they'll like collect items for you and pick up more candy and stuff like that. So it's cool. It's neat.
Interesting.
Yeah,
It's a
it'll
cute
have like
little
little tasks
addition.
like play with your buddy, feed your buddy, go visit someplace new, um, like go for a walk with like distances in kilometers,
Mhm.
that kind of stuff. They have a absolutely uh, kind of heartstrings pulling trailer for it
Oh,
that they premiered yesterday, I think. So the timeline on this has been very quick.
yeah.
So, um, and then also unexpectedly, Cadence of Hyrule is getting an update.
Yeah, that was interesting to see.
So it's getting basically a dungeon mode, which is no overworld, and it's just kind of a dungeon run, sort of like the original Crypt of the Necrodancer game, as
Okay.
well as sort of an Octavio storyline. So Octavio is basically the guy that steals all the instruments, and you have to
Yep.
fight him at the end of the game in a standard playthrough. So kind of like put a twist and show things from his perspective. Um,
Okay.
so yeah,
Hmm.
uh, and then
Interesting.
Stardew Valley 1.4.
Yes.
So Courtney,
Oh
why
my
don't you
goodness.
go into this one?
Yeah, so it just happened to show up on my Google this morning with that feed that opens up. Oh my gosh, there is pages of this 1.4 update which is now live across all systems. Um they've added so many more things. There's tons of actual new content, including different clothing items, different hairstyles, the fish ponds that we had talked about,
Yeah.
where you can breed fish and such.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, they've added a movie theater unlocked in late game.
Oh,
Yeah,
Oh,
Yep.
that's neat. Is it like a building
Yeah.
in town, or is it like a thing you put in your
I'm
house?
um I'm not sure. I'm working on it.
Okay.
Um I've been a little bit distracted with the Calico Desert updates.
Hmm.
Um so there's like more there's lots and lots of new decorative stuff, so like new shirts, pants, hats, boots, decorative items, new flooring options. There's two new fish. There's a different sword, more scarecrows. We had just been talking about how dinosaurs are not um viable. That is now not the case anymore, because now you can make dinosaur mayonnaise, which is sells for a
Okay.
pretty good price.
All right. Yeah,
So
well, and
it's
that was the problem before, was that because
yeah,
dinosaur eggs were classified only as artifacts, is that you could not
yes,
make mayonnaise out of them. Uh,
yes. So now you can make
Still
mayonnaise out of
weird.
them.
Don't get me wrong.
Oh no,
Dino
totally.
egg mayonnaise is totally weird. But I'm glad that because
Hmm.
so the thing is, like, artisan goods are considered like basically the way to make end game money.
Yes,
Um,
yes, they are.
and so like
Um,
that's pretty much the only reason. Well, from a purely optimization standpoint, that is
yeah,
the only reason for keeping animals around.
yeah,
Because vegetables are just better, apparently.
yeah. But yeah,
Uh,
so there's new crops.
okay,
There's rice.
interesting.
There is tea. So tea bushes.
Oh, that's
Um,
cool.
Yep. There's a new warp totem to the desert, which is
Oh,
why.
that's super convenient.
Yup, it takes 10 cactus fruit, 10 um words. I swear I have them.
10
Uh
cactuses.
10 cactus fruits, 10 coconuts, and I think
Hardwood.
about no iridium, I believe, and like a million
Oh,
gold.
wait, and
Um
how much?
a million.
Because they're single use.
No, 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 no. No, this is the totems thing that you can get. No, the obelisk, sorry. The ones that you can get from the wizard's house that you can use, and it brings you it's not like the little warp totems.
Oh, okay.
It's the
Okay.
big, yeah. No, they have the little ones, but there's also a big one. Um
Okay.
there's also um a new there's a workbench which lets you craft with ingredients in adjacent chests, and a wood chipper which can be really helpful in the winter because it breaks hardwood and driftwood into regular wood. There's new mine content. There's new four new monster eradication goals and prizes.
Hmm.
um Yep. There is a new desert trader, which is really cool because they are literally a trader. They do not do gold. They sell with, like, you have to have
Well, you
diamonds,
barter.
or
You
yeah,
barter.
you have to have like omni geodes or diamonds or rubies, or
Yeah.
they don't work off of money, which is kind of cool. Um there is a new Pierre and Caroline's house has a new sunroom in it. Um,
Okay.
there is um sorry, in multiplayer mode they actually have a four corners, um where that thing that we were talking about where you can see your entire map or your
Yeah.
entire farm all at once. So that was in this one. Um, there is dressers. This is a really good one. Dressers can now be actually used to store clothing, hats, rings, shoes, all of that,
Cool.
um, which is nice. Um, let's see.
I presume a lot of the other stuff is just kind of quality of life.
There's a lot
updates.
of quality of life stuff. Yeah.
So we don't need to get into all the quality of life little nitty gritty things.
Oh, no, 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 no. Those were just like the big,
Yeah.
yeah.
So.
But there's literally pages of stuff. There's
Mm-hmm.
balance. There was a lot of balance changes.
Yep.
Um, a lot to do with like how much stuff is there. There's a good amount of controller supports too. Um, which I think was mostly for PC.
Yeah.
But yeah. Um, and just general other stuff like Elliot's cabin interior design changed a bit
Okay.
and other smaller stuff like that. Um, and they fixed a lot of bugs too.
Yeah.
A lot of the weird little glitches. So, but you can find all of that over at StardewValley.net. There is a full update change. I'm pretty happy with it right now. Um, yeah, I'm really happy with it right now, actually. Um, I've been
Yeah.
playing
And
for a good amount
for
of the
for
afternoon.
clarification, this is a free update.
Yes. Oh,
Is
yes. Yes.
there isn't any paid DLC for Stardew Valley, so.
Nope. No, this is I actually I saw the article on Polygon and then I went to check my Switch and it had already done the update on it.
Yep.
So that was one thing that was nice.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then the last bit of news this week. As we said at the top of the news, Rise of Skywalker opens tomorrow. Um, again, it has not really reviewed super well critically, although it's only like 5% lower than uh, as far as its fresh rating goes on Rotten Tomatoes. Which
Yeah.
again, as a reminder, that is an aggregate of what Rotten Tomatoes deems positive or negative reviews, right?
Yeah.
So it's not just like it's basically 56% of critics had overall what they consider a positive review. It doesn't
Yeah.
factor in like, if somebody rates it as like, a 3 out of 5 kind of a thing and are kind of negative about it in the review, like that just counts it as bad.
Yeah.
As opposed to a much more granular type of rating
Mhm.
system. So I don't know. I've heard from some folks that they really enjoyed it. I've heard from some folks that bringing J.J. Abrams back on might have been a mistake. So we'll see.
We'll see. I have my tissues already in my purse. Ready. Ready.
Yeah, but you're gonna have them regardless of the quality of the movie. It's just because it
Yeah.
has Carrie Fisher in it.
Yeah, and her daughter. Like you got to remember these are scenes that they did together. And that's what
Okay.
kills me. That's what gets me every time. Um but
But
yeah.
apparently, from what I understand, this is going to be a long film. Let's see, Rise of Skywalker runtime.
Oh man.
I guess not super long. 2 hours 22 minutes.
Okay, all right. I was like, wait a second,
So,
how long are we talking? Because I gotta be to work for 11.
uh, yeah, no, we'll be out of there by
No,
like
I'll
nine
be there.
o'clock.
We'll be out of there, even with 20 minutes of previews for other stuff.
Yeah,
So, but yeah, and we will discuss the possibility of doing a spoiler cast.
maybe we'll have to. Well, if we
We'll
can
have to,
find the time
yeah, we'll have to look at schedules.
before Christmas.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so yeah,
But if not, we will do it in our week after Christmas. We'll do it on New Year's. In our standard spoiler cast. At the end of the podcast, kind of mode. No, not mode. Median. No. I'm going the wrong way. Going math. It's our standard practice for spoiler cast.
Yeah.
Yeah. I swear I have words. And I know how to use them. But yeah, there's just I've just been like going over all of the updates from Stardew today, being like, oh, how can I get this? And how does this work? And what's this do? And
Yeah.
it's really fun. Because one thing that I actually I just want to go back real quick. You can now make clothes with different things. So
Okay.
like there's an actual use for cloth now as instead of just using it to craft things. Like you can make clothes, which is really fun.
I mean, it's still just crafting things.
But it's crafting in a different way. As opposed
Is
to
it,
like, oh, you need
though?
6 until I see a huge big table of everything. Yeah. I just mixed a miner's treat and a thing of cloth, and I got a pinwheel hat. So this is going to be fun seeing what makes what.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's still just consuming cloth to make items.
It's a different way, and I like that, and I appreciate
No, this
that.
is the way. So that's going to wrap up the news for this week, folks.
Yes.
So let's get into what's happening with 8-Bit Adventures.
Yes.
Okay, so there's a couple of sort of big things. So let's break this down. First is there's been a post in the Discord channel. There's been a post on Facebook. Lots of posts. I discussed it last night on the art stream. But so the Pie Cakes loyalty point system is going away. And this is because Twitch is rolling out its own point system that they've already kind of rolled out. But I got the email and the invite to it a few days ago.
Okay.
And so it's really just to avoid having two separate systems. And the one in Twitch's is more integrated into their platform. So basically, I'm giving you the notice now so that at 12 a.m. Christmas morning, I'm going to basically shut down the loyalty points, the current loyalty point system using Pie Cakes. So if you have any built up, spend them and put in your requests for anything.
Okay.
There will be some analogous stuff under the Twitch system. You can access that in the chat menu in the lower left-hand corner. So when you hover over it, it'll say gold. It'll have a little gold bag icon.
Okay.
So when you click that, it'll show you the stuff that you can get. So things include, there will still be an option to summon Monty and get him on stream. So instead of doing commissions, it will now be to suggest a piece of artwork during an art stream.
Okay.
So I'm going to move, if you still really want to commit like a piece of commissioned artwork, by all means contact me in some way and we can work something out. It's just, that will instead either be some kind of barter if I know you personally, or cash. And by cash, I mean just money. Because it does take time to do them. And I would rather, not to say that I don't want to work on people's commissions, but oftentimes, especially with the big group ones, that's very time consuming. And it takes a while. And that's because my time is limited these days. And will continue to be even more limited in the future.
Yeah.
I just want to kind of scale back a little bit on that. The Overcooked takeover for game streams is still there.
Awesome.
So that way, this way you can do it. Like if I'm in the middle of the game, you can do that. And oh, well, there we go. I guess we'll have to switch over to Overcooked right now, kind of a thing. Likewise, there's one. There's a Pokemon one. I'm gonna change the name of it a little bit and make it sort of either, or I'll just add another one. I can add any number of custom ones. But basically, You can do that one, and if I'm playing Pokemon, it's you tell me which Pokemon to go find and catch next.
Oh.
Kind of a thing. There's
Okay.
also other ones include the ability to unlock an emote that is normally restricted to subs.
Okay.
So yeah, again, you just get these points by watching the stream. There are bonuses for actively watching, so like it'll show up and it'll have a little counter that you can click on to collect your points.
Mm-hmm.
As well as like following and subscribing and stuff gives you bonus points or whatever.
Okay.
I'm also going to work out doing physical artwork for certain patron levels. It'll basically be kind of like a little postcard sized one, I think, each month.
Okay.
This is going to be at the higher patron levels, again, because that takes time, that takes resources, and that also costs money to print things. So I want to make sure that there's enough money coming in from a given patron pledge in order to, do the printing and send that out.
And that's fair because again, printing costs money and
Yeah.
sending costs money and yeah.
Yeah. So, this likely means it might just be Driz. Mike, you might be the only one getting physical artwork, which I'm sure he's fine with. So that's kind of the points system. So as of right now, those of you that are watching live are currently earning points.
Woohoo!
Okay, under the new system. So both systems are currently active right now. But again, just a warning that the old one is going to close Christmas Eve.
So cash in them pie cakes.
Yeah. Also of note, for those of you that are used to earning pie cakes, you earn gold at an absurd rate compared to that. It's like 100 times the rate. You earn a lot more gold than you do pie cakes.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why sometimes values, we might be adjusting some of the values on things if it turns out that I put stuff too cheap.
Yeah.
So, sort of to coincide with that, I'm basically rebranding some of the streams. So instead of 8-Bit Adventures Game Night, it's going to be called 8-Bit Adventures Plays. Kind of coincide with what we're doing with Dark Matter. Dark Matter will sort of still remain on the Tales of Jamora feed and everything. And despite the fact that it's not actually affiliated with Jamora, we'll just be on all that stuff. But this means that, so it'll just work a little bit better with like 8-Bit Adventures Plays, Pokemon Sword, 8-Bit Adventures Plays, Stardew Valley kind of a thing. So otherwise, completely the same, just a name change. Likewise, it's going to be 8-Bit Adventures Draws instead of the 8-Bit Art Stream kind of a thing. So just if you see new stuff like that, that's what that is. It's just updating the names of the streams, giving them a little bit of an artwork refresh as well.
Nice.
So yeah. Speaking of Dark Matter, so I posted the stream schedule this week, not thinking that Megan and I need to go somewhere to review for Berkshire Bites on Friday. So so there is going to be a Dark Matter rerun on Friday. Hopefully with the full episode, because due to a technical failure at the studio, we lost our Twitch feed 20 minutes before the episode ended. And basically there was a lot of stuff that happened in that last 20 minutes. So
yeah, there was.
Basically going to upload the full version, and we're going to do a rerun of our full session 0/session 0.5. So instead of happening at 7, that will likely start probably a little after 6.
Okay.
And then we'll run. It's basically, I can't schedule reruns to happen. I have to physically push them live. So I can't schedule it to run at 7 and then just, have it do its thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But we'll have a rerun for you. And then also, while that's happening, uploading it to YouTube and the podcast and stuff like that. The goal is to have all that stuff done and ready to go for Friday. We'll see. Because, as I said, we're going to see Star Wars tomorrow. So
yeah.
But yeah. Last up.
Yes.
This is, and I'm gonna do this as a poll in the chat. Let's see how this will work. Invalid possible for new results. Okay. Well, I'll have to figure this out. But let's do this. Basically, the question is merch.
Yeah.
Do
That's
y'all
all
want
you
it?
put was merch, ?
Do you all want it?
My answer is always yes.
Let's see. Manage poll. Here we go. Create a new poll.
Hey.
Question. Would you want
8-bit merch? Yeah.
yes? No. Oh, it only does a live poll. Okay. Well.
Yeah. You can do one. We can put one up on the 8-bit Adventures page on Facebook. And you can have a poll there. Sean.
Yeah, I know. This is do it live.
I know.
Start poll. There we go.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that's showing up for people, but basically I have the option to do, t-shirts, mugs, stickers, shoes, some interesting houseware type stuff, through Streamlabs. So this stuff would be available. You would go to the merch store from this stream. I would also create a link to it on the website, and go from there. So yeah, stuff might be a little bit on the pricier side because essentially they set a base minimum price, and then anything extra that I charge is the actual profit that I make, the actual money that I make on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, if it's something where you might be interested in 8-bit Adventures t-shirts or mugs or whatever, there would be an avenue for that. One thing to note is that any eventual books would not be available through this, is they would have to be available for sale elsewhere.
Okay.
But I mean, they do sell blank notebooks.
Yeah, they do.
So that's just if we wanted to do, like a Tales of Jamora notebook or something, we could do that. So that's the idea, is it would have, any sort of related content. So, you want a Berkshire Bites mug. You want a Tales of Jamora t-shirt. I mean, you want a Sir Munt's Best Investigator Ever shirt. I mean, we can make that happen.
Always.
So yeah, that's just, I wanted to throw it out to people.
That would go perfectly with my Not the Best Detective Agency shirt,
because it's really this is more of a thing where it's highly dependent on what people want, right? Because it's a good, these are goods that would be sold, as opposed to, I'm just making content because I feel like it. So and we got a little bit more for the poll, but we'll continue. So as far as comics and art this week, so I did manage to get a comic out. So just continuing with we progressed the plot basically.
We did.
With basically a construction progress bar. So they've made fortifications, and now they're gonna go look into some of these development issues in the comic, which necessitates going back into the Winding Wilds and looking at all this stuff, which folks that have been reading for a while now recall from chapter 1 of all these interesting sort of invasions of other game worlds.
Mm-hmm. It's about to get funky, 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 funky. Funky, funky, funky. I'm excited to see what happens next. But
So let's see. So yeah. And then there was an art stream.
Yep.
Did a very well received, as I've shared it elsewhere. Sort of fan art of a sort of palette swapped Christmas themed Obama snow. Requested by Driz in the chat.
Nice.
And yeah, it turned out really well. I'm kind of liking, sort of easing into this art style now with my new software. It's kind of reminding me of so I'm noticing as far as like the coloring goes and the color work goes, reminding me a lot of my friend Howard Cruz's work. So that makes me feel happy that like realizing that like the sort of color work that I'm doing kind of reminds me of just his the work, the color work on his comics and stuff.
Nice.
At the very least, just that particular piece, I looked at it and I was like, oh, that kind of looks like if it was like Howard's take on a Pokemon. So it was just a nice little moment that I had.
I think it turned out amazing, and I love the little Starmie on top.
Stardew.
Stardew, yes.
Yeah. The other one, which I have not shared because it's not finished, is some artwork of Lily Searden, my Dark Matter character. That is going to turn out real well.
Nice.
I'm really enjoying it. So it is up on the stream of just doing some line work for her. And then I'm going to go back and color it. And it will, the colors are going to be amazing because I have some interesting ideas that we didn't really get into on the Dark Matter stream. I know it's like we didn't really talk about like what our characters look like at all.
Yeah, that was interesting.
I was kind of expecting a lot more character development and less like diving right into an adventure.
Yeah, but you know what? We still got time.
Yeah. Also, kind of awkward ending that session on a cliffhanger when it's supposed to be a session 0. So, I don't know.
But yeah, we'll work it out after Christmas. We'll work it out.
Yeah.
It'll work out.
And that is so the results of the poll. Folks in the chat said yes, they want merch.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'll also put up a poll on Facebook and trying to gauge interest there as well. But I mean, if people want merch, I'll make it. So, and at the very least, I won't have to keep a running inventory like I did the last time.
I was gonna say, yeah, this is gonna be the nice thing about that is it would be going through them.
Yes. So that's the clarification, is that Streamlabs would have the inventory and they would take care of the printing and fulfillment and everything. Yeah. One thing I would do is any t-shirts are going to be tri-blend. This means that it's going to be the same sort of material that like the Critical Role t-shirts are. It's that very soft kind of stretchy material.
Yeah.
I can't go back to regular cotton shirts anymor. Oh, I'm spoiled.
No, that's
and I want to provide the same quality material to for you folks out at home. So
yes.
So yeah, I'll come up with a couple designs and we can make it a fun event where you all vote on like what the first pieces of merch could be.
Yay!
So that'll require some mock-ups and everything, but we'll get that figured out. I do like the idea of a best investigator ever shirt.
I want one.
But that is going to wrap up the news for 8-Bit Adventures. So
Hmm.
now it's time for Quest Log. Quest Log is where we talk about what sort of geeky stuff we've been up to over the past week.
Yeah.
And as a way to sort of recount what has been written in our Quest Log.
Yeah.
So, Courtney, I didn't really update anything for you because I know
No.
typically Quest Log is kind of a last minute thing for you.
Yeah. No, that's
So
exactly what I've been doing is playing a little bit of Pokemon Shield, but mainly being sick and playing Stardew, especially today. Being sick and playing Stardew with the new update. Oh my gosh. um yeah, I'm probably going to go over 350 hours on my main game. Um I'm
nice.
I'm I'm into winter of my 10th year. So, yeah. But yeah, so I'm actually hoping to be into year 11 before I leave town in 2 days. Um which I see is completely possible. Um yeah, a lot of what I've been doing in Stardew has just been more like, again, today has been really figuring out, oh, that was one of the big awesome amazing quality of life changes, is other stuff is now stackable. So like staircases are now stackable. Tappers, the garden, basically like chests are stackable in another chest. Like all these other things that used to take up so much inventory space are now stackable. So I am so happy about that. I went through all of my chests and I was getting everything together, um and just like reconsolidating everything, which was really nice. um Another little small quality of life thing that I really enjoyed, excuse me, um was that when you have the catalog and the other one that is all the furniture, so the one with wallpapers and flooring and then the one that's all of the furniture, there are now tabs on the side where you can decide if it's going to be, it's puppy time! It's puppy time! Yay! Yay, Mr. Monty!
This is
Oh,
great for audio listeners.
yes, of
For
just me
for
freaking
so
out.
for the podcast, since
Yes,
my wife uh
has pie cakes.
redeemed having my dog get on stream. He's on stream eating a treat badly.
Yes, he is.
It's one of these bully
Yes.
stick things. So anyway,
Yeah.
so
But
please
yeah, so
continue, Courtney.
now there's tabs, so you can say like if you're looking for chairs or tables, or if you're looking for wallpaper versus flooring. So it's a really nice. It's a small thing, but it's really nice. So if you're just looking for one thing or another, it's a lot easier to find. He's such a good boy. He's such a good boy. Yeah. Says, Papa, do you have any more?
There is some on the floor. There you go. So
um,
anyway,
but yeah, and so I'm hoping to honestly, when we're done here, I was gonna look at what that movie theater was and how it is and what to do with it. Um,
yeah,
because I am definitely in late game.
yeah.
So
So
um,
who knows? Maybe
yeah, and
maybe I'll start adding a couple extra 8-Bit Adventures plays Stardew streams.
yeah,
Since Stardew Valley is kind of a thing that you could do on its own as a stream,
yeah,
or rather, I
mm-hmm,
could do as on my own as a stream.
yeah.
But yeah, so. Oh, also, are there any Pokemon that you need in Pokemon Shield?
I have been working on just leveling up my guys in the wild zone. So I have no idea right now.
So I guess this will be the benefit or for all the viewers in chat right now, and for podcast listeners. If y'all need Stongeners, let me know. I'm breeding them right now for sending out into the wild.
Sweet.
If you do not let me know, I'm just gonna wonder trade them to random people because
Okay.
'tis the season for gifts. It's a very rare sword exclusive.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they only appear under very specific conditions.
Well,
so
obviously I don't have one because I am in Shield.
yes.
But I'm actually waiting to get myself a couple ponytas because I need to find the ponytas. I need to grind and get forward so I can get myself some ponyta.
You need to go to the forest, the fairy forest.
Yep.
So you just keep progressing through the game. I think you have to
gotta keep. Yeah.
What's your next gym? Is it Ghost?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, it's after the Ghost gym.
Okay, perfect. So I'm close.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm probably gonna be bringing my Switch with me on vacation.
Yep.
Yeah. Because it's awesome and portable like that. Yo.
Yes. Yeah. So I've also been playing Pokemon Sword. I'm almost fully done setting up my rain team to do the battle tower. So that I can get, all sorts of cool goodie items and everything. Also for competitive, so that maybe I'll start doing the PvP ladder.
Nice.
So yeah, basically now that I've finished the game, I'm finding a lot more Gigantamax Pokemon. So I think I should have put all that effort into finishing the game rather than running around the wild area for 20 hours.
Yeah.
So
I have a feeling that was a design. I have a feeling that was a purposeful design thing.
I don't know. I mean, I think it's... I don't know. I feel like it was a little bit of a flaw, actually. Because, it introduces so many new Pokemon to you, right at the start of the game, that, it incentivizes you to just spend all your time in the wild area.
Yeah.
And then, number one, you over-level early on.
Mm-hmm.
And then number two, you end up spending so much time trying to catch new Pokemon that then by the time you start doing the gyms or whatever, it's oh well, it turns out there's all these Pokemon that are guaranteed. Why did I spend 12 hours trying to catch this Pokemon that spawns rarely out here?
Yeah.
Or whatever, Yeah. So yeah, I think I would have maybe, I don't know, I felt like they either did too much too soon or not enough, right?
Yeah.
And I wish that the whole thing was wild areas, with towns scattered in there, as opposed to as opposed to having, let's face it, one wild area in the game.
Yeah. I mean, it's a huge wild area, though.
I mean, you say huge, and again, I point to, I would love to see Monolith sign on and help Game Freak develop the next game, so that they can actually make it huge.
Yeah.
And then, make bigger Pokemon as well. Since if you have Monolith signing on, you got to have big locations and bigger monsters.
Mm-hmm.
Have it be that the whole game takes place in the back of that Torterra from Detective Pikachu. That's a Monolith game right there. So.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been playing Pokemon Sword. So I have been playing more Dauntless.
Yeah.
I have been playing it on PC because it
does
not run well on Switch. No, it does not run well on Switch. I would say, if you enjoy playing Dauntless and you have a Switch, download it now. But maybe hold off on playing it until the end of January, because they said they are going to be doing more optimizations to it. It's bad right now. It's very
Really?
poorly optimized. I mean, apparently the actual, like, when you're in a hunt fighting a monster, it's okay. It's still like kind of 20 to 30 frames per second with like all of the settings turned off. Like all the graphic settings turned off or down on low. My hope is that they'll, but even then, like, I was getting frame rate stuttering, so I don't know if that's just on me or something. But I would also love to see a little bit more optimization work done there. The actual like hub where you spend all of your time in between, so like all of your crafting,
Yeah.
like chatting, signing up for hunts, trying to get cells and cores and stuff. That is like 5 to 10 frames a second. It is garbage right now. So yeah, I mean, if you had to pay money, I would recommend not buying it. Basically the whole Bloodstained fiasco all over again. But since this is free, like, go ahead and download it and then just sit on it until end of January, maybe.
Just get it on there, and
Yeah.
then
Just get it on there so that way you can update it, and that way you have most of the game pre-installed already.
Yeah. Well, and that
but-
makes sense, because then when you do need the updates, then it's just an update and not the full everything.
Yeah. I've also been playing King of Cards.
Yeah, what's that?
So King of Cards is the newest Shovel Knight campaign starring King Knight. So it's an interesting game in that basically the Shovel Knight campaigns all like kind of tell the same story from different perspectives. So the first one, Shovel of Hope, which they went back and renamed it that, sort of like Star Wars, is basically kind of like the original tale, where it's you play as Shovel Knight, Shield Knight's gone missing, the Enchantress has taken over the land, and you are questing through and defeating members of the Order of No Quarter to then fight the Enchantress and save the land. Very standard sort of story and theme for an 8-bit style platformer. Fantasy 8-bit style platformer. The next campaign is Plague of Shadows, and it takes the perspective of Plague Knight, where Plague Knight is trying to find the ingredients for a very specific potion, and so is going around looking for like essences from like the various members of the Order of No Quarter. And what's great is like when you get to Plague Knight's level, is the end boss becomes Shovel Knight.
Oh, interesting.
So you end up like fighting Shovel Knight in Plague Knight's area.
Okay.
And then there's like a whole bunch of other subplots in Plague of Shadows. Then the second released DLC campaign is Spectre of Torment, and it follows Spectre Knight, who is another member of the Order of No Quarter. And you find out that like Spectre Knight was like a thief, and basically like got caught during a heist, and his partner got out or something, or his partner's being like held captive or whatever, or like his partner's soul is being held captive, and so Spectre Knight, and so this thief became Spectre Knight and is serving the Enchantress in order to get back his companion. King Knight, I don't know where this takes place in the whole grand scheme of things, but it's basically King Knight is seeking to become a king. And there's this grand card tournament which will crown the victor King of Cards. And so you're looking at trying to win the tournament to have a starter kingdom. And it's basically it's where King Knight has a very grandiose opinion of himself. But like his home base is like his mom's house. And like his initial subjects are just rats that like do your bidding. kind of a thing. But it's it's equal parts sort of platformer, like the other games. But then there's also this card game that they developed as an optional component in the game. And you can basically play the card games to like get unlockable like currency, like special currency, or just like regular money. And yeah, it's hard. This card game's hard. It's like,
really?
You basically it's a board that's centered around squares, and in the central squares there's like a grid, and in some of the squares there's a gem, right? And your goal is to control the most number of gems when all the center squares fill up.
Okay.
You get cards that they're more like tiles. You place the tiles on the board, and what they do is there's a couple of restrictions. You cannot place tiles on a gem directly, and controlling the gem is you have to have a card on the gem. Yeah.
Okay.
So you can't place them on there directly, and all of the tiles have arrows on them. You can push an existing tile in the direction of one of those arrows, and then it pushes it one tile over. Now, note, you can only do this if there isn't an arrow going in the opposite direction. So that's a way of like playing defense against something. Right? So if I play a tile that has a left arrow on it, I can push something left unless there is a tile on there that has a right arrow. Because then they oppose each other and it bounces. Okay. Then there's like all sorts of special effects and everything. Well,
they bounce and they don't go anywhere.
You wouldn't be able to place that tile. Now you could place it like in just the next empty space or whatever, but the game is centered around like pushing things and shoving things all in different directions. And that's where the challenge comes in. Because like tiles might have multiple arrows. Tiles might have a double arrow, which can push stuff, which are only blocked by other double arrows. And other weird things like that. So yeah, it's like a difficult minigame. It's very challenging and interesting, embedded within this platformer. That's still very good on its own. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
So yeah, and speaking of card games, Hearthstone released Descent of Dragons. So that would have been another big piece of news had I realized it was coming so soon. But yeah, so I got back into Hearthstone. I haven't like paid any real money for any packs. I've just been doing a free to play thing. And I've been running with like a secret Rush Hunter deck. So for those that don't know, in the game are secrets, which are kind of the only way to interact with your opponent on their turn. They're in Yu-Gi-Oh terms, they're like trap cards, where you play them and they go face down, essentially, and then when your opponent does something specific, they activate and do a thing.
You activated my trap card.
100%. And with hunters, like, they really are traps. So, yeah, it's basically a whole bunch of cards to get more traps or pull traps directly out of your deck, or get bonuses for playing traps. So all that cool stuff. And then Rush is a mechanic on creatures, where they can attack the turn they come into play, but they can only attack other creatures that turn. So it's a very like board control kind of deck. It's kind of interesting. And then there's like new side quest cards that do cool stuff for doing stuff you already want to do. So yeah, I'm having fun. I've also played a little bit of their Battlegrounds mode now, which is basically auto chess. So we've talked about auto chess a little bit. I know Josh was playing it for a while. This is Hearthstone's auto chess version, basically. And yeah, it gets wild, man. It gets real wild. Yeah, it's absurd. So, and then lastly, I wanted to talk about for several D&D games. So Tales of Jamora, Josh's game that he plays in for Dark Matter. I picked up an Adventurer's Kit from Arcane Goods. Now,
yeah, you did.
To clarify, this is not sponsored by Arcane Goods. This is just I paid money for this product because I've bought the stuff of theirs before, and I really, enjoyed it. And I saw an ad for this that it was on sale, and I wanted to get it. And good thing I did, because they're sold out again. But
Yeah.
so the Adventurers Kit is basically this nice leather-bound journal, and it comes with all sorts of cool stuff, like a ruler, all assembled separately. But it includes like different pages, like journal pages for your characters and stuff. It includes card sheets and cards. These are blank cards, so blank spell cards and items. They're double-sided.
Question: would the D&D spellcaster cards that like you can get in a pack fit into those sleeves?
So I don't know how big those cards are.
Okay.
These sleeves, I guess so this is the size of one of the speller item cards.
It looks about
right?
the same size.
And it's basically designed to fit in one of those pockets, right?
Okay.
So they might work. Yeah, I don't have I could use the ruler. I guess I'll take the ruler out.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I to be very honest, I'll bring some cards by and figure it out myself.
Well, let's see. I already got the ruler out, so
it probably does.
So
I don't have my caster card.
So it's 2.5 inches by 3.5 inches are those cards, to give you an idea.
Okay.
So the only thing I don't like is they give you a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Which, not a problem in and of itself. However,
okay.
If you want to fit all the stuff in the journal, it won't fit.
What?
And it's one of those where it's got the double rings or whatever. So if you try and open it when it's got everything in there, you're gonna have an issue with
things popping out.
Things popping out, basically. So, but that said, I have a lot in there because I'm using it essentially for 3 campaigns, really.
Yeah.
So I have my Dark Matter character, my character in Josh's game, and then I have a section in the back that I would like to use for Tales of Jamora.
Mm-hmm.
For NPCs, organizations, locations. It's got all sorts of stuff. They also include, in the back here, a nice pocket that I've put, you get a dice tray.
Oh.
That is, it feels like leather. Or at least like pleather, maybe. That you get to choose the color. Also, cool. Dry Erase and Wet Erase initiative tent cards. As well as a session card. So for you to track like spell slots, HP, any notes or whatever.
Oh, cool.
In addition,
a card isn't enough for notes, but
you get a Ziploc bag.
Oh.
That goes in the journal. That can go in the journal. That holds an inspiration coin. It can hold your minis. They include condition cards, as well as like these rubber rings that are different colors, so that now we can have stuff for Hunter's Mark, Hex, Concentration, Bless,
Bane.
So they include 4 colors. So if you have up to 4 different effects, you can use these rings for it. They also say if you want to do it for HP, like every 5 HP or something, or to mark like if people are bloodied or whatever, to do that. But in addition to all of these standard conditions, they also include a card for healing potions.
Oh.
A card for languages.
Mm-hmm.
A coin conversion card. And then a concentration card. Which I think is going to be super helpful. That deals to all the rules for concentration.
Nice.
And that way then, if somebody's concentrating on a spell, you can just, give it to them.
Mm-hmm.
Or I can just pull it out if I'm concentrating on a spell.
No, that's really great, because a lot of the times you forget.
Yeah. And then it's got a pocket in the front. For other cool stuff. So the only thing is, since both of the characters that I have also have companions, they don't really have like a good companion card. So I suppose you could do it on like an item card, but of just like their base stats and everything. But yeah. So, but yeah, super high quality. These are the same people that make the if you watch Critical Role or if you're in Josh's D&D game, you might have seen the potion bottles filled with dice.
Yes.
These are the very makers of that.
Ah.
The same ones that they use on Critical Role.
Okay.
So they actually did a revamp of the potion dice. So yeah, definitely high quality stuff. Small business, based in the United States. So
yeah,
there you go. Let's put it this way: I'm super excited. I want to play D&D so that I can use this journal.
I'm so excited to see that journal.
And D&D Beyond can take as much time as it wants, getting that that alternate class features update correct and working. So yeah. So funny how getting me to like maybe try and use physical stuff again is
yeah.
It took a really good journal. So yeah, I just wanted to give them a shout out. So
cool.
And then when the next thing I have comes in, I'll talk about it on the next podcast, since it should be in by then. So it's a map book.
Ooh.
So it's basically a book.
Ooh, maybe my new dice will be in by the time we record again.
It's a book that, like, when you fold it open, it lays flat. So not like most books where the spine sort of sticks up and it goes down. It lays flat.
Yeah.
And it's basically like an art book that they then like put very faint like a battle grid on it.
Oh,
so the idea is you open it up to the page that you want, and there's the map that you need.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So
that's really cool.
Yeah, I'll talk about that when it comes in.
Cool.
So,
can't wait to see it.
Is going to wrap things up for this week, folks. So thank you for joining us. Hope you enjoyed a special guest appearance by my dog Monty.
Good boy, best boy.
And if you want to see more content from 8-Bit Adventures, be sure to check out 8-bitadventures.com. Over there you can find comics, artwork, podcasts, streams, and more. And if you would like to help support that content, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/8bitadventures. Thank you to all of our current patrons. It is through your support that projects like Berkshire Bites are able to happen. So, thank you again.
Thank you.
Our opening theme is One Up by Professor Shy Guy. You can find his stuff over at professorshyguy.bandcamp.com. And don't forget, you're all amassing gold right now. And you know what? If you have any suggestions for anything to spend gold on, or any suggestions for merch, you can hit me up on social media at 8-Bit Adventures on Twitter. The Facebook page is 8-Bit Adventures on Facebook. Or you can email me at sean@8-bitadventures.com.
Cool.
I would love to hear your feedback, love to hear your ideas. So, yeah. Get on that, people.
Yeah.
And as always, have fun, happy gaming, and enjoy your pie cake.
Bye, everybody.